In this demo, we will set up a process to pull files from an external server into Thru so that headquarters can collect the files from Thru's internal SFTP server. So if we click on the Organizations tab, we can see a pre-configured organization called Partner 1. Partner 1 has had an endpoint created for their external SFTP server. If we click into it, we can see the connection has been set up with a username and password. You can test the connection to the server and see that it's validated. Now, this process will require a second organization to be the target. To create a new organization, we'll go back to the Organizations tab and click Add Organization. We will name it Headquarters and click Save. Now that Headquarters has an organization, we need to create an endpoint. In this example, we're going to create a Thru SFTP server endpoint by clicking on the Endpoints tab, then clicking Add Endpoint. We'll name it, and there are multiple endpoint types, so we're going to choose the Thru SFTP from the list here. Here is the host that they will need to connect to. So now we need to create a flow to connect these two organizations together. We'll click on the Flows tab and then click Add Flow. We'll name the flow Partner 1 to Headquarters and click Save. We'll click on the Flow Studio tab and go ahead and add the source and target. If you click Add Source, it'll say no organizations have been subscribed and provides a link to add subscriptions. Now we can see our two organizations. We'll select both, then hit the Subscribe Selected. Straight away, it shows you the organizations that are available. We know Partner 1 wants to be the source, so we'll choose their endpoint and add it to our flow. Now we have our flow endpoint, which we can edit. We can change the name of this flow endpoint and set inclusive or exclusive file names filters. We can set the flow endpoint to delete files after they have been pulled, archive files on the source, or include subfolders on the pull. For this example, we'll choose to delete the files after they've been pulled. Now we have a pre-created file path that we'll paste in here, and then we'll click Save. After saving these basic settings, we can go back in and configure schedules, whether it runs on a daily or weekly basis, minutes, hours, or days. We can also define processing options, set up rules for renaming, and define alerts like successful transfer, file inactivity, or transfer errors. For the purpose of this demo, we'll leave those values as is. Now we will add a target endpoint. So again, we'll click Add Flow Endpoint over in the Target panel, and we'll choose our Headquarters organization and add its endpoint. Again, here we have similar options to configure this target, like file name filters and add in file paths. This endpoint type is a passive server where users will go to get their files, so there's no need for a scheduling tab here. Thru can automatically create a user to access this target, but it's also possible to set up more users and customize the usernames and define passwords or SSH keys. Now we will click Save again, and then we are ready to push the flow so it becomes a live entity in the system. Once the flow is running, we can move on to the next step. We can go back to these flows and export the FileZilla configuration, which will give me both the source and target information for an SFTP client. If we go back into the flow, instead of waiting for the schedule, we can trigger the flow to execute the transfer by using the Run Flow Endpoint Now. Selecting this would allow Thru to go check for new files at the source and pull any waiting files from that external endpoint. If we go to the activity view, we can see that the file has been pulled. The file has come from Organization Partner 1 to the Partner 1 to Headquarters flow. We can see it's been pulled from an external server. We can see the path that it was pulled from, and we can see the file name. We can click on the details here, which shows, again, the path, the endpoint, how long it took, if there was any processing, and now it is ready for the target organization to download. So here we see the target. The target in this case is the Thru SFTP server. So we need the headquarters to log in and collect the file from Thru before the status will change from ready to download to complete. We can refresh the activity page. We can see the status has changed from ready to completed. We can see the source/target transfer details, such as when the file was pulled. Now the process is complete.